Are you a Christian?
I'm going to say I'm that and so much more. I am a student in the Nation of Islam where we teach from both Bible and Holy Quran.
So you belong to Louis Farrakhan folks?
Oh, you can say that.
How can you follow an evil, dirty man like Louis Farrakhan who believe that Jews are the blood-sucking Jews and that white people are the white devils and that they were created by some black men who turned because Louis Farrakhan has this false notion that black people were the first on the earth, and that somehow or another some black men turned evil. They went into a lab and created the blue-eyed devil. That's how we ended up in the blue-eyed devil. Louis Farrakhan also believed that he went up in a spaceship and spoke with dead Elijah Muhammad. You only get that kind of trip when you're on acid. How can you follow a man like that?
Well, you are Reverend Jesse Lee Peterson. And again, I'm not sure where you were ordained or what seminary or cemetery you matriculated from, but you believe in Moses.
I ask you, you're not answering my question. How do you follow an evil man like Louis Farrakhan?
Well, I'm going to make a point here. And first of all, he's not an evil man. And I'm bringing
What's good about him?
I was bringing up some of the prophecies.
What's good about Louis Farrakhan? You're deviating.
What's good about Louis Farrakhan is that Minister Farrakhan for over 64 years has been standing on behalf of the most disrespected, oppressed, and murdered people on the planet. That's the black man and the black woman.
But only about other black people.
Indeed not. Indeed not.
Only about other black people have treated other black people worse than any white person can ever consider treating anyone.
I appreciate you letting me finish my point here. Are you aware, sir, that when Jesse Jackson ran for president of the United States, that it was white people that called the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan the Black Hitler? And it was only after they called him the Black Hitler that he began to address the fact that he was not at all like their murderer, Hitler. Are you aware of that? Do you know that he was first called that?
I'm not aware of that, but I can tell you that when I first moved to Los Angeles, I believed into the lie. Not when I was growing up in Alabama on the plantation under the Jim Crow laws, but when I moved to L.A., I started listening to Jesse Jackson and NAACP, these black preachers who are not called by God, but by their mama. And wicked Louis Farrakhan, I used to go to the forum to hear him speak when he were in town. And in that father state, I thought he was telling the truth too, because I had been separated from God by believing in the lies of these people, right? But I realized later that Louis Farrakhan is an evil man.
It's a lot, especially Detroit in the inner city. There's a lot, and prison. There's a lot that follow the false teaching of the Muslims.
Dirty man. And I understand why you people follow him, because you guys are in a fallen state too. God is not your God. Satan is your daddy. So naturally you would believe in Louis Farrakhan. Why is it that you're not a Christian?
In response to what you just said, on behalf of White History Month, I'm going to believe that you said that you believe in right and wrong. So I want you to call on those white folks that protested Minister Farrakhan, that called for his death. Do you know they were protesting, said, who do we want? The other side said Farrakhan. They said, how do we want him dead? I want you to call on white folks right now to denounce the fact that they called for the murder of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan.
I'm not aware that that happened, but if it did happen,
producers, they can look it up.
If it did happen, was it wrong?
Absolutely. So please call on them.
So that was wrong.
Call on them.
So that was wrong.
Right now, on behalf of White History Month.
Okay, we got that part.
Those white folks.
So was that wrong for them to do that?
Absolutely.
And so likewise, was it wrong when that radical agitated group that's worse than the KKK, Black Lives Matter, a bunch of black lesbians and radical homosexuals and radical liberal white people, white guys or whatever they were, when they call for, what do we want? Dead cops. When do we want it now? Pigs in the blanket, fry like bacon. And right after that, the fallen Messiah and Big Mama Michelle invited them to the White House. Was that wrong?
I'm not aware of that. I can't speak
I didn't think so. So you weren't aware of Black Lives Matter chanting, what do we want? Dead cops.
Correct. And if
And
they
so,
did,
was
and
that
if they-
wrong?
let me say this. Let me say this. I want to admonish you to watch my show that I did yesterday on Fly Nubian Queen TV. I gave all kinds of receipts and documentation that shows just recently New Jersey cops, as well as other Philadelphia cops. Do you know 320?
You didn't answer my question if that was
were
wrong or
busted.
not. Well, that's
Well,
wrong for Black Lives Matter to do that.
I'm not aware of that, but I was going
Why
to
are
tell
you so
that.
not aware of that? You aware of everything else? Why are you not aware of that?
Well, you do lie sometimes, unfortunately. So I can't
So you
say.
lying?
I said, you do.
You do lie?
I said, yeah, you do lie sometimes, so I can't.
What have I
guarantee
lied
that's
about?
what
Oh,
they
you
said.
saying that I lie sometimes?
Yes, sir.
What have I lied about?
For example, when I was listening to you earlier today, you were talking about Black people and how, unfortunately, Black people. You were talking about how so many of us are attacking police officers.
Yes.
How
How is that a lie?
Well, because that is a lot. There's not a lot of Black people that are attacking police officers. In fact, because police officers are being infiltrated, military is infiltrated with white racists, it's not enough Black people standing up to defend themselves.
That's amazing. I want you to hear this and watch this clip. Here we go.
Okay.
That was Black Lives Matter leading a chant. What do we want? Dead cops. What do we want it now? Is it wrong for them to do that? Was that wrong?
It's wrong if no one is aggressing you, but if someone is continuously an enemy to you, like the very names that I mentioned, Gregory Hill.
Was that
Ryan,
wrong for Black Lives
Michael,
Matter to do that?
It is not wrong to defend yourself when your life is in danger.
Oh, so it's not wrong when Black people do it to white people, but when they chant Louis Farrakhan, one of the most wicked men on this side of heaven, that's wrong, huh?
Of course
Amazing.
not.
I want to ask you about this woman.
First of all, there is no history. There is no history and there is no documentation that any Black NOI Muslim has ever laid a hand on white people unjustly or
You have been paying attention.
Or firebombed anything. You need to bring the receipts. There's absolutely no evidence. It's a difference between one that's protecting themselves, defending themselves, demanding that they be retributed. And it's a whole other thing when you have the most privileged people on the planet who pillage, who rape.
Why are
who
y'all
rob,
so
who
jealous of white
sodomize,
people? Why
and then
you
demand the death of innocent Black people?
Why are you people so jealous of white people?
Jealous of white people? What evidence do you have?
You're
of that,
always
sir?
talking about what they have. You're always saying that they're smarter than you. You're always complaining. You want affirmative action. You want reparations. You want to get into the white schools without earning your way. You want to be actors and entertainers without earning your way. What is wrong with Black people that they're not smart enough to earn their own way without complaining?
Black people are so smart that we are the ones that white people, ignorant white people, came over to the motherland to build this nation.
That's not true.
Black people are so.
That's not true. You're not an honest person. That's not true. Black people were sold. That's not true. Hey, Black people were sold by other Blacks to the Arabs, and the Arabs sold the Blacks around the world. It wasn't white people.
Reverend Jesse. White people stole us.
That's not true. That's not true.
We built the Capitol. We built the White House.
Y'all didn't do nothing.
We built many of the edifices that are in Washington, D.C. We did the layout for the government.
Why? So if you people are so smart, why are you still begging? Why are you destructive? Why are you begging and whining? If you're so smart, why isn't that happening now?
Begging who? I don't believe in begging white people for
You're
anything.
begging for reparation for whites. You're begging for affirmative action. You're begging to get into the schools without earning the way. You're begging to be air traffic controllers without having to pass the test. You're begging for everything, for food stamp, for free health care, free government cheese, and all kind of stuff. You're just begging. If you're so smart, act like it and stop begging. Why are you begging?